Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Pain Minute. So today I have Dr. Rachna Patel of the CBD Oil Solution. This is her book. So she is an expert on CBD oil and cannabis, and we're going to talk to her and see if we can learn a little something from her today. Hi, Dr. Patel. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I am a cannabinoid medicine doctor, and I've been one since back in 2012, which means that I've basically been treating patients with cannabinoids like CBD, like THC, since back then. And that's essentially what I do, a rare breed of physician.
So you are, by training, you're an emergency medicine doctor. How did you get involved in this?
Yeah, so interesting story. While I was going through residency, I became a bit disillusioned by what I was doing because as an ER doctor, essentially what you do is you evaluate all sorts of different types of pain. You know, whether it's head pain, neck pain, back pain, and when there's no emergent cause, you typically send the patient on their way home with a script for pain medications, typically opioids. And given the nature of our healthcare system, what typically ended up happening was that a lot of these patients would come back into the emergency room and say that the medications didn't work, or that they're experiencing side effects from the medication, or in the worst case of scenarios, these patients would I would end up having to resuscitate these patients because they either intentionally or unintentionally overdose on these medications. So I was at the point where I felt like, okay, I'm not solving any problem here. In fact, I have a direct role in perpetuating a problem. And so, a lifetime of participating in something like that just didn't sit well with me. At the same time, while I was going through residency, I wasn't sleeping much, and so would end up surfing the internet quite a bit. And one day landed on Craigslist, and there was an ad that said medical marijuana doctor needed. I didn't respond to the ad right away, but it certainly did pique my curiosity.
So what do you think they were looking for when you're looking for this ad?
Essentially, basically what they were looking for were physicians to evaluate patients for medical marijuana cards, for medical marijuana recommendations. And this ad was actually posted for in search of a physician to be placed out in California.
Got it.
Because medical marijuana was legal at the time there.
Okay.
Yeah. So, this was something that I had never, ever heard of before, this whole concept of a medical marijuana doctor. So definitely piqued my curiosity. I spent a good year digging into the research, just spent a lot of time on PubMed.gov, looked into how these medical marijuana practices functioned, how they worked. Because a lot of these practices were just solely that, just evaluating patients for medical marijuana cards, for medical marijuana recommendations. So that's essentially how the journey started.
So was it the research that got you into this, or was it your experience? Did you actually then start working for the group who put the Craigslist ad out?
Yeah, so it initially started with being compelled by the research. One particular study done by a physician, Dr. Donald Abrams, who is an oncologist based out of UCSF. He's actually a pioneer when it comes to cannabis research. And he did essentially what was a preliminary study on the impact of cannabinoids, of cannabis, particularly marijuana, on nerve pain in patients who had HIV/AIDS. And the results of this study were particularly surprising. So first thing was that the patients who combined, these patients were already on a regimen of opioids. And when they combined their opioids with the cannabinoids, they experienced greater pain relief. But interestingly enough, these patients were also able to significantly reduce the doses of the opioids that they were already on. And so that definitely there was something about that really resonated with me. And then just also looking at all the other research that had existed at that time, again, albeit preliminary, but still was compelling to me. And so I had the book knowledge, but to become a well-rounded physician, you need to have the people knowledge. And that's when I signed up to work at a medical marijuana clinic out in California. And this was actually a different ad. Every time I went on to Craigslist in that period of a year, there would be a different clinic, posting an ad for a medical marijuana doctor.
So what did you learn when you worked at this clinic then?
Yeah, so here's the interesting thing. I found that cannabinoids not only impacted pain, but they impacted other conditions as well, such as anxiety, such as insomnia, such as fibromyalgia, such as rheumatoid arthritis, many conditions which typically tended to be resistant to conventional medication.